Willie D Live.
What's up, family? Baton Rouge artist Young Bleed is in serious condition in ICU. He's fighting for his life after returning from the Verzuz battle between Cash Money and No Limit at Complex Con in Vegas over the weekend. And family, let me tell you something. Dude was fired up. I mean, man, let me just pay homage to all of the performers out there. Man, salute. I'm talking about the ones who put the energy in, the ones who hit the stage and don't leave dry, meaning that they put in work. See, for me, you ain't performed unless you sweat it. Freddie, what's his name? Freddie Jackson. Even if you Freddie Jackson, if you don't sweat on that stage, you ain't put in no work to me. That's the way I see it. But Young Bleed was fired up, man. How you do that? That boy was jumping up and down like he turned that thing up a notch. Yeah. So salute to No Limit and salute to Cash Money for putting on for the culture. But Young Bleed is currently in the hospital fighting for his life. And, you know, in their haste to be the first to put the story out there, some people have reported that Young Bleed was deceased. And it's not just the first to put the story out there, but some people were lying. So I can see people trying to, ride the wave of, this happened. Let me hurry up and put my story out there, right? Because, people out here trying to, outpace the algorithm. But to just flat out lie and say the man died, there needs to be something done. I mean, some serious consequences for people, individuals and blogs who put out these false reports of people being dead. I was on Facebook the other day and I just went down the rabbit hole of sites devoted to spewing negativity and false narratives about people dying. Just flat out lying. There needs to be something done about that, man. That is not cool. What kind of person are you to do something like that? You're an uncivilized mutt. That's what you are. Now, if you did it and it was, you just jumped the gun, you did it by mistake, okay, cool. Don't do it again. But going out there and purposely doing that, like that's your hustle, that's not cool because you're hurting people. You're hurting people. The people that are, and sometimes people are not even in ICU. They're not even in the hospital. They're not even sick. And they'll just say somebody died. So you're hurting the people who are still here, and you're also hurting their loved ones. You're spooking the hell out of people. Imagine you are a friend or a loved one of somebody, and you see some news report that they just died. Imagine, you know what I'm saying? And you discover that it is a bold-faced lie. See, that ain't cool at all, man. I don't see, that's one of the things that I can't stand about the internet. I remember when Facebook started popping. I would used to say all the time, I think it's a blessing and a burden, but it was more of a blessing at that time to me because I liked the idea that it was so many people out there who were kind of like antisocial. These are people that don't get out much, but they found some enjoyment out of getting on social media and meeting people, digitally, right? Having these conversations with people on social media, people following them and things like that, and listening to, for the first time, some people who nobody had ever paid attention to, voice was heard. And I thought that was a cool thing. I thought that was cool. I already had my thing, doing this music stuff. I already had my thing. But I thought it was cool for people who were a little, introverted. I thought that was cool. People that, didn't get out too much. I thought that was cool for them. But I see now, man, the internet has now become more of a burden than a blessing. I do believe that the scale has been tipped, because this ain't cool whatsoever. I actually spoke with a good friend of mine at No Limit, and he told me what was going on, but I didn't feel that it was my position to speak on that. Not at this time. You dig? The family say what's going on, cool. But I'm not going to be the first to put that out there. You dig? So I waited, and I'm still waiting. And I may not, if the family don't say anything, I'm not saying anything. That's respect. You dig? And they deserve that. The internet took that away for a lot of families. We're finding out that our loved ones are dead by coming across a video on social media, watching them get their heads blown off, watching them get shot in the back. Like, we're watching, imagine fam, you're on the internet and you're watching a video of somebody get gunned down, and you look a little closer and you realize, that look like my brother, that look like my sister, that look like my mom, my dad. You know what I'm saying? That's my pop. That's crazy. And so the internet took the control away. Again, a blessing and a burden, because the internet, while it took away a lot of the control for the majors to basically gatekeep the information, it also opened it up to the bandits, to the people out there who would use the internet as a weapon, to undermine integrity of news stories. And they just put anything out there. That was a time when, before they would release the identity of a person, if something happened, before they would release the identity of a person, they'd contact the family and let the family know, your son has died, your daughter, your mother, your father, But now you're finding out that your loved one has died on the internet via a viral post. That's chicken shit to me, fam. That's just low down and dirty. And then you got people who are coming live from the hospital rooms of loved ones, who oftentimes are totally out of it. I don't even know if they, they're not even in a position to put up a fight and say, don't show that. When you see people going through it in the hospital and their loved ones or significant others or whatever, they're there, they going live, like, look at me here. They want to show themselves hugging the person, all this kind of stuff, and showing the world that type of stuff. If the person who is the patient wants something like that to be seen, if they ask for that or whatever, that's different. And I would have some trepidation about that, even in those regards. But to put that type of stuff out there, fam, all money ain't good money, and all attention ain't good attention. There has to be some boundaries, man. There has to be some boundaries. Young Bleed got a family, Master P made a comment about it, and he said this on social media. Snoop Dogg and I was just talking about how we have to love each other while we're here. We just turned up with our brother, the real Young Bleed, at Verzuz. Thanks for all your prayers, and we need more prayers for him and his family as he fights in ICU. God got us, no limit soldier. Tell your people you love them every time they walk out the door. And because of those false reports, his sister, I believe her name is pronounced Tedra, made this response. She put this post up, it looks like on Facebook. This will be my first and last post. We are receiving a tremendous amount of calls about my big brother Glenn, Tank, Young Bleed. If you have not called his mother personally, please do not post about him. Our family asks that you respect our privacy and hold all calls and texts at this time. He is still currently in ICU, and his mother asked if you all would respect her wishes and not make any RIP posts. Respect the people's wishes, man. Respect the mother's wishes. Respect the wishes of the family. Show some damn respect. It's a damn shame that people have to go through something like this. They're already grieving. They're already stressed out and worried that they have a loved one in ICU fighting for his life. And then their pain has to be exacerbated by clowns posting on social media that their loved one is actually dead. They're hoping against odds that he survives. They're praying. They're still hopeful that he'll make it. And you got these uncivilized mutts over here making posts about him being dead. I can't stand him. No more talk.